Well, here we are. It is March 6th, and as you can see, I'm still down here in sunny Belize. We had a little weather last night, but it wasn't bad. A little rain came in. Now the sun's back out. It's a few cumulus clouds floating around. It's 87 or 88 degrees, and we're having a great time. And I look a little salty. We've been out in the water and doing things, but still doing the weekly video while we're here. And there's a few things I want to go through. One of the things that came up last week was the sale that we talked about that was coming along. I think we mentioned, maybe we didn't mention it, at Freeman's. And we covered the sale at Devin Moisen's last week, and on the 28th of March, I believe it is. Let me double check the date here. Hold on a minute. Excuse me, the 27th of March, Freeman's is having a very good Chinese sale with about 200 lots in it. It's an interesting auction. There's some good bronzes. There's a lot of good porcelain in the sale. There's some nice jades, some good paintings, and some very nice Japanese things, including some nice lacquer wares. It's a good mixed sale, and I think there's some Persian miniatures in there too on top of it. So there's a lot to look at. And there's a couple of other sales that have come up, and there's some results. Leland Little had their sale this week, as many of you know. It did very well. They had a very successful sale. I'm going to go through some of the results there and so forth. This isn't going to be a terribly long video because I've got some people waiting for me here to go do something. But at any rate, I wanted to get this done because I promised I would. And we're having a great time. That's all I can tell you. We're having a wonderful time here. We'll be here for another couple of weeks, as you know. So anyway, and by the way, just so you know, a few people have been leaving messages at my house wondering why I'm not responding to emails. Maybe you missed it. I'm away until in the third or so week of March down here, so I won't be back dealing with much. I have fairly limited email access here. I'm recording this outside, running it on a battery, and I've got a place I can upload it, but it's a little bit limited. So anyway, here we are. One of the things I wanted to talk about was some of the sales that are coming up too. There's several good auctions that have popped up on the radar, and we're going to start with the Freeman sale. Most importantly, and this is the sale right here. Here it is, and as you can see, this is one of my lovely pendant in this sale that's coming up. It's a jade, 18th century. It's got some russet on it, beautifully done, nice color, nicely carved. Wonderful carving on this. I really like this a lot, and the estimate on it is pretty reasonable. As you know, Freeman's is very reasonable on their estimates. They don't try to push it too much. This one's estimated at $6,000 to $8,000, which I think is quite good for a jade of this quality. It appears to be Qianlong period. $3,000 opening bid. Nice looking thing. And do get, if you're going to bid on this sale, like all sales, as I always say, register through their websites to do it. You'll save a lot of money on commissions. And you want to build a relationship with the auction house so they can stay in touch with you. They can let you know about upcoming sales. And it's a better communication link than trying to do it through some of the other sites, like Invaluable or Live Auctioneers and so forth. All right, the next thing coming up is this very nice Chinese robe, Qing robe, late 19th century with dragons, rondelles. This one is quite nice. You don't say the ones with the dragons and the rondelles on a yellow ground don't turn up very often. This is a nice robe, and I think the estimate is quite conservative on it. Very, very fine quality, probably a Guangxu period. Lovely colors, and there's no fading, and it appears to be in superb condition. If you look at the collar up here, you don't see a lot of wear. You don't see any pulls in the silk anywhere. They've provided some front and back images. Is the back of it. There's a good detailed shot of the rondelle, as you can see. And sometimes you see these rondelles after they've been removed from robes, and they often frame them and so forth. If they have a robe that's in poor condition but the rondelles are in good shape, they often frame them. And this is a particularly good one. I think the estimate on it seemed low to me, $6,000 to $8,000. In the past, when we've seen these on yellow with rondelles, they generally bring in the $10,000 to $14,000 range. This one's estimated $6,000 to $8,000 with a $3,000 opening bid, which is sort of a no-brainer. That's a very reasonable estimate, I think. So check that out if you're one of the silk buyers out there. Nice looking piece of silk. There's other silk in the sale too. I'm not going to go through every lot in the sale. There's 200 lots there, but this is a nice one. There's also a very nice pair of China trade oil paintings in here of interior scenes, Mandarin interior scenes at home. These are quite charming. I like the one on the left in particular because it's got a balustrade overlooking a lake or the ocean. It's probably a lake. and very, very finely detailed, some script writing on the wall. There's some nice Ming furniture in the picture and so forth. And then you have the other one of them sitting inside sort of at leisure. Nice looking pair of pictures. And the estimate on them is $5,000 to $7,000 with a $2,500 opening bid, which seems quite reasonable for these oil paintings. These are fairly good size. They're the image size on these, the site size is 19 by 24 inches. These are good sized paintings, so they're substantial. They'd be great to put in, on a wall as a pairing in a living room or in a library or something. And then you come over to this, you have this very nice, it's a green glazed lotus bud vessel, Junyao, from the Jin Dynasty. It looks like a really nice one, very, very finely glazed, beautiful smooth glaze on it. You'll notice right away, if you look where the light is reflecting, you can always get a sense of the texture of the glaze from that. And the potting on it is quite good. It's very well rounded, very, very nicely shaped, and then very nicely glazed and so forth. And it looks fine all the way around. There's the bottom of it, pretty typical base. It's got some glazed fissures in it. I don't know if they go through or not. I suspect they don't. The bottom glazes on these often develop lines on them, but they do not appear on the inside very much. If you want to find out if it goes through to the inside, you can always call and ask them too. Always ask questions and always get condition reports, before you bid on a ceramic or anything like that, especially. And jades too. You always want to check for condition. It's estimated at $5,000 to $7,000. In the past, we've seen the similar examples sell around the market in the $8,000 to $12,000 range. So I don't think $5,000 to $7,000 is all unreasonable. And it only has a $2,500 opening bid. And Freeman's isn't big on reserves, so you could probably pretty much figure that the starting price or a little above it is probably where the reserve is, if it has a reserve at all. All right, and then over to this, a very nice, very thinly glazed parrot cup, Sung Dynasty. This is a very unusual thing, quite beautifully shaped. The potting and the molding of the head of the bird is excellent. The potting around the rim of the bowl seems quite fine. The glaze looks very, very good. There's some nice detail from the molding when it was shaped. And it's estimated at $6,000 to $8,000, again with a $3,000 opening bid. It's a very lovely example, and it measures about 4 3/4 inches long. So it's pretty much a standard cup size for one of these, but it's an unusual form, especially from the Sung Dynasty. So if you like unusual shapes and unusual types, I would look into that. Here's another unusual thing. This is really quite nice. This is a white porcelain conch-shaped it's a conch-shaped Wan Li period water dropper. And these do not turn up very often. This is a fairly rare bird, and I think the estimate is extremely low, $1,500 to $2,500. It measures 4 3/4 inches long. Also, it has got some nice underglazed blue decoration, but it's done in the form of a conch shell. Seems appropriate to where I am. I've had conch of one kind or another, I think 3 times in the last 7 days. I love this stuff. Anyway, this is beautifully decorated, Wan Li, Ming, and it's a water dropper. So if you're a scholar collector, this might be something for you. And I think the estimate is a bargain basement price. Don't be surprised if it goes over this. This is scholar's objects always tend to do well. In unusual form and rare form, scholar's objects do particularly well. So keep that in mind when you're placing your bids. But if you think back, when was the last time we had a Wan Li? You see water droppers all the time from the 19th century. You don't see them from the Ming Dynasty very often. And then hopping along over to this is this very nice Judao, or spittoon as they're known, with dragons on it. Zhendi mark and period. All right, so it's Ming, 1491 to 1521. It measures 6 inches in height. And it's estimated at $40,000 to $50,000, which I think that may even be quite reasonable for one of these, for a market period. One of these in the past, we've seen them sell for the 6 figures. Has a $20,000 opening bid. Very nice detail, nice light blue, very soft blue on this. This is a rather charming blue, and it's got the very classic Ming dragon, those sort of almost cartoonish looking, sort of goofy looking dragons, and the flowers and lotus blossoms and one thing and another on it. Nice looking pot. Get a condition on it, get the condition report on it, but it looks to be quite a good example. There's the bottom of it. The foot rim and the bottom looks absolutely fine. I don't see any reason to question the dating on it at all. It looks very, very good to me. And again, $40,000 to $50,000 estimate, $20,000 opening bid. It's quite an attractive thing. And this sale just came up the other day, so some of the lots won't have a lot of watchers on them yet, but they will get them, I guarantee you. And then over to this is probably a late Ming, late 16th, early 17th century pot. It's got a little irregular rim on the top. You can see how it sort of slooped down, but the decoration on it looks very good. The outlining is nice and strong. The filling in of the lighter blue and all the decoration looks good. This is a nice pot. It's about 6 inches high, as I recall. Okay, 5 1/4 inches high. It was a little under 6 inches, and it looks very, very good. It came out of a collection somewhere here in New England. I don't know where, and the estimate is just $800 to $1,200 for a nice Wanley pot. That seems like a very good potential purchase for someone. That looks like a very low estimate. Looks like a low estimate to me. You see the plates all the time, of course, but you don't see jars and pots of this form very often. And then hopping along over to this Daoguan yellow ground bowl with enamel decoration on it. $3,000 to $5,000 estimate, $1,500 opening bid. It's getting some interest. It's got 20 people watching it. You may remember over in the UK last year, the auction house, what was it? They got all those wonderful Daoguan and Zhaijing period porcelains out of that house in the English countryside, and they all did very well. And they brought a lot more than $3,000 to $5,000. They were all in the sort of in the $15,000 to $30,000 range. So don't be surprised if this goes fairly well over the estimate. It's a nice looking bowl, and it probably is in very good shape. There's a good picture of the bottom of it if you want to see that. There it is. There's the Daoguan mark. The enamels look nice and strong. You want to get a condition report, but you know, other than that, it looks absolutely terrific. And I think the estimate indicates that whoever owns it is there to sell it. They're not there to hang on to it. And then you have this rather nice looking Yongchen, and possibly of the period. Usually when Ben Freeman says it's possibly the period, he probably believes it is, but he doesn't want to. You get down the road with somebody, that looks like that looks Marken period to me. But he's very conservative. I'll just put it that way. You know, he doesn't want to stick his neck out too far on everything. But that looks like a Yongchen mark, and that does look like a Yongchen period piece. And it is a peach bloom glaze, which is rather interesting because we often think of peach bloom as being more typically done during the Kangxi period, and then again, of course, during the 19th century when they had a big revival of these kinds of pieces. The color on this looks quite nice. The shape is good. The estimate is just $8,000 to $12,000 with a $4,000 opening bid. We'll see how that does. That should do pretty well, I think. There's some other monochromes in the sale as well, so check that out. And then there's this Gi-type baluster vase, Qing Dynasty. This is a fairly small vase, but it's got a double crackle on it. It's got the dark crackle and then the sort of rust crackle on it. Very nicely potted, good glaze. And they dated it as just Qing Dynasty, but from where I'm sitting, that looks like the bottom of an 18th century pot to me. The color of it, the intensity of the iron oxide line around the foot rim, that V-shaped trim that it got on the bottom, the way it's the walls of the foot have been trimmed, look to me to be most likely 18th century from what I can tell. And it measures, I think it's around 6.5 inches tall, and it's estimated at $1,500 to $2,500 with a $750 bid. And as we've seen in the past, these smallish gi wares and small monochromes and crackle wares do really, really well. So don't be surprised if this takes off well into the estimate. I would be surprised if it went for under the estimate, I'll put it that way. And it looks like it's in wonderful shape, and it's beautifully potted. Potting is everything on these things. Potting and glaze. And then there's there's several of these in the sale, by the way. There's a couple of, he must have had a collector, somebody that collected large wood Buddha figures. There's some nice ones in this sale. This is one I just happen to like it a lot. It's probably middle Ming period, and it's estimated at $10,000 to $15,000 with a $5,000 opening bid. Looks to be in great condition. The details are excellent. The robes have nice folds in them all the way down. The fingers are intact. And there's some remnants of lacquer still on here, it looks like. You want to get a good condition report on this, but this looks like a nice one. And let's see, how big is this? It's a big one, 47 inches in height. So it's a good size carving. The estimate is just $10,000 to $15,000. And as I said, with a $5,000 opening bid. And there's another one also, in the, right two lots before. There's several of them in here. So if you collect Buddha figures, you want to check it out. You definitely want to check out this sale. And as I said, it's on the 27th of this month, coming up in a couple of weeks. And then there's this. These are really, really nifty. I like these. Gilt bronze lion mounts, 17th or 18th century. And these were, according to the provenance, these were sold back through Thomaston Place up in Maine about 13 or 14 years ago. They're 8.25. Whoop, there's some bugs flying around in here. 8.25 inches in length. And it came out of a collection. The last owner was a collector in Philadelphia, but I really like these. Are quite handsome. If you like animal forms and Ming bronzes with gilding, these are quite lovely, and they're a pair. Sometimes you see the same animal as a single, but you don't see the pairs very often. So you want to check that out. All right. Camera went a little haywire here. Anyway, back to these bronzes. These are really, really nice examples. Very, very attractive examples, and the estimate on them I think is quite reasonable. Very well done all the way around. And $2,000 to $3,000 estimate, $1,000 opening bid. Nice looking things. All right, and then hopping along over to this is some of the Japanese things. So this caught my idea. This is a very nice brazier, hibachi with a metal liner, Tokugawa Mon, early Edo period or mid Edo. Later Edo period, early Meiji period. I meant to say, but very nice lacquer work, and it's been used obviously. But the lacquer and the metalwork on it looks quite good all the way around. I don't see anything wrong with it. And again, the Japanese stuff remains a relative bargain these days compared to other things. So you might find this a great thing to buy. It measures 21 inches wide, 9 inches high. So it's 21 inches square, basically, 9 inches high. It's a good looking thing. It's estimated at just $1,000 to $1,500 with a $500 opening bid. Quite nice. And then moving along over to this Hirado ware. There's several good pieces of Hirado in this sale. This is one I thought struck me as being quite good. It's got some very nice modeling of dragons on it, which Hirado clay was so good for. It was very much like, they're sort of like Dewa was very good at modeling in Chinese clay. Hirado clay was very good for modeling as well. And this is a wonderful example. And it's estimated at $1,500 to $2,000 with a $750 opening bid. But quite attractive. And then over to this, their pair of food lions. These are elegant and big. I was looking at these. I love these. They're 25 inches tall. Big pair of bronze lions. Let's see. And they were done by Yoshikawa Yosoyushi. And he was a well-known listed artist of the era, and the coloring on these looked excellent, and the details are very, very, very fine. So if you're a Japanese bronze collector and you like a nice big pair of foos, these would be it. They're just calling them guardian dogs, but in China we like to think of them as, we call them foos. But beautiful quality, and they're marked on the bottoms. Again, $3,000 to $5,000 with a $1,500 opening bid. All right, and then and there's other stuff in it. That's sort of all the ones I'm going to go through. But there's, like I said, there's over 200 lots in this sale, and there's some nice paintings. There's a couple of early paintings in there, and so forth. So if this looks like your kind of sale, do check it out. You've got a couple of weeks to get ahead of it and get your information that you need to place bids and sort of calculate what you want to pay for things. Check around other sites, look up price results from other places, and see how it looks. Other things that have turned up in the last week is this. This is rather a nifty thing. This is at Roland's up in Glen Cove, New York, and I bought something at Roland's years ago. They're very nice people. Is this very good gilt bronze Liao Maitreya Bodhisattva on stand. And there's a whole write-up here down. I guess when people got it originally, they wanted to make sure it wasn't looted. Apparently it's not on the loss register, according to the write-up, but it's a good-looking piece. The lotus on it is quite exuberant. And it measures 43 centimeters high overall. So that's about 17 inches in height. This is a good size figure. It's estimated at $8,000 to $10,000. The sale is on March 28th at Roland's with a $4,000 opening bid. So you definitely want to, if you're a bronze collector, you ought to check that out. This might look like an opportunity example, something you're not seeing very often. And that lotus base, I think, is really striking, really striking. And then some other results from the week. This was the painting, the Ming painting that was at Leland Little on the 4th of this month, just a couple of days ago. And as we discussed this painting a few weeks ago when we did the preview on it, we thought it would probably bring 15 or 20,000. It ended up going for 16,500 plus the premium, so that came in at around about 21 or so $1,000, a little over the sort of what we thought was a high estimate, or so a little above what we thought. I don't think it was an unreasonable purchase. I think it was a beautiful painting, and I think 15 to 20 was a good estimate for it. They just give it a $50 to $25,000 estimate, but as always, the market will tell you what something is worth, whether somebody estimates it for you or not. The market always speaks and always says what something is worth, and there you have it. All right, and then over here to this, that very pretty Three Friends of Winter 18th century jar. It did fine. It ended up going for $1,600 plus the premium, or around just a little over $2,000, which is right on the money. That's right on the money. When we previewed it, I think we said somewhere in the $1,500 to $2,000 range, or $1,800 to $2,200 range. And but this was a very nice one. It had a very nice soft blue on it. I thought the color was quite appealing. And the bamboo trees were actually the pine trees as well. All the trees were very finely detailed on it. Beautiful quality work. The lid and the cover were later, but it was still very attractive. It went with it just fine. And the teapots did fine. This one went for $900. The footed teapot plus the premium, came in at around $1,250, which is perfectly good. This was a fairly rare one. There was a barrel form teapot but it had a repair to it, and that sold for $200 or $300 because of the repairs. The repairs held it back a bit. Still sold. Somebody will love it. You know, you can always enjoy things even if they've been repaired. And then other things. I think this was the watch page. Hold on a second. This was that set of 9 cups and saucers that we reviewed before the sale. I thought they looked awfully good. I thought they were very finely done, and they did quite well. They ended up going for about $3,300 with the premium for the set. Very attractive, nicely done. And it was when you get cups and saucers sets of this many, they're early, they tend to draw a lot of attention and do pretty well. So it's not a big surprise, but very nice. And as we're seeing the market, even despite all that's going on in the rest of the world and all that, the market still seems quite good. And I suspect it's going to pick up during the once they get everything squared away over in the Middle East. And one thing now that's going on, every time we go away, all hell breaks loose around the world. Last year it was something else that happened. In the years past, it was the same thing. Something about February and March and April. These did quite well too. These were those very nice Republic period Millefiori jars that we looked at that had the beautiful bats on the shoulders. There they are. And now these had been, as I recall, drilled, of course, made into table lamps. I think they would make spectacular table lamps if you bought them. Put them back as table lamps. Yeah, they were drilled right through the mark. And they still did pretty well. You know, they still brought $1,600 plus the buyer's premium, as I recall. $1,700 plus the premium, so around 20. That would put them at about $2,400 for these. If they hadn't been drilled, they probably would have brought double to triple that, pretty easily, I think. And then over to this, the painting. I like this painting a lot. Of the two goddesses. It was attributed to Ling Mei. It was the goddess of Ji Weng Mu. They just dated as Qing Dynasty. I suspect it was a late 18th or early 19th century painting, and it ended up going for about $2,300, including the premium. But very nice quality, just a charming picture with good color, and it looked like being in good condition. So that's sort of it for the week. I think there's going to be some results coming up, and we've found some other sales that appeared since last week, and we'll be putting those on the global pages coming up, and we'll review them as the time gets a little bit closer. There's a number of sales coming up in late March into early April already, and there's some things happening, some opportunities. And don't forget that, when the world is in turmoil and the markets are wobbling all over the place because of concern about the price of oil and whatnot, it sometimes can be a good time to buy objects because everybody's attention is somewhere else. and let them deal with that. You deal with collecting and take care of that part of your life. And the world will sort itself out. It always does. So don't worry about it too much. All right, so that's sort of it for the week. Subscribe here if you haven't, and I hope this video came out okay, because I'm on bright sun and I can barely see what the camera monitor says, and it's music in the background here at our little resort, and we're putting together some video of the place for everybody. We'll share it with you, and hopefully in the next week I'm hoping to get to it. We've been sort of goofing off and relaxing for the last few days. We've been walking around Hopkins Village, going to some of the local restaurants and having lots of good seafood down here and so forth. And we're getting daily updates from home about more storms. There was an ice storm over the weekend. We actually got a phone call on the alert system from our mayor in Gloucester down here a night ago, telling us that the off-street parking is in effect because of an impending ice storm and another snowstorm. And I don't know if we're ever going to plan another trip out of New England in the middle of February again, because what we went through to get here. Maybe we'll schedule it for March next year or something. But anyway, here we are. We're here. Check out the newsletter page this week. We got that updated last week. Okay, we had to sort of do it in between, in and out of service, as they say, with the internet around Belize, but we got it done, and here we all are. All right. We'll be back, as I said, in 2.5 weeks or so from now, 3 weeks from now, and get back to regular business. But for now, I've got. I actually have a rum and coke waiting on a little table over by the ocean here, and there's a pool right in front of me. I mean, you'll see it all in a few days, but anyway, it's quite nice here. And if you want a place to go, I would highly recommend this resort. It's called Coconut Row. It only has accommodations here. I think it has 12 rooms, 13 rooms. It's very small. They have good food, and the people that run it are super nice people. They're great people. We've gotten to know them a bit because it's such a little resort. And the village of Hopkins is about 100 yards behind me, something like that. It's right here. We're right in the middle of the town, and the ocean is about 80 or 100 feet in front of me here. So that'll give you some idea where I'm sitting. All right, I'm sitting at a picnic table that belongs to the restaurant. They let me use it. All right, have a great rest of your day, and thanks so much for watching. All right, bye-bye.